Mask policies have changed again at Disney parks from coast to coast. The Disneyland Resort, well, it has an expansion that has just now been approved by the city. We'll cover that. And what's Walt Disney World been like since it's officially reopened? We have somebody here to chat about it with us. It is July 25th, 2020. Kingdom Report Live starts right now.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Saturday has arrived and Kingdom Report Live time is here with a live look outside at the Disneyland Resort Pixar Pier. And now we take a long look back and we see Cars Land. Who doesn't love a good ridge shot of Cars Land? I know that those canyons are well suited for all of us to go racing through, and one day I hope we can do it again. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So grateful to have you with us as we join you once again from the Warner Brothers Studios Media District here in beautiful Burbank, California, just around the corner from the Walt Disney Studios, just up the road from the Disneyland Resort. I'm Wade Heath, bringing you all the Disney news and discussion, along with a very good set of friends of mine. Perhaps you've heard of them. If not, let me introduce you. From AttractionFaction.net, it's Katrina Manzone and Tyler Crouch.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming back again.
Once more.
Once more. And obviously you guys are like, what is she wearing?
I want to know.
Christmas in July.
Oh, look at you and your snowflakes.
Merry Christmas.
Wow.
Yeah, after all the Halloween news that happened yesterday, I was like, screw Halloween, let's go to Christmas.
That's right.
We all know Christmas is going to be canceled too, so let's just celebrate it now.
It's the worst feeling in the world.
I want my 5 months. I need it.
Yeah, we better start now. You're absolutely right. If nobody's aware, Halloween across the board, Universal, Disney, it looks like it's been canceled. All those parties, all those special extras that we're so used to having when it comes to the later half of summer and beginning of fall, they've all been wiped off the map. Truly unfortunate, very hard to deal with, I think, especially for so many, Halloween diehards. Is that either of your favorite seasons?
Yeah,
your Tyler?
It's mine. And I look forward to Halloween Horror Nights every year, and Not Scary Farm, and even the Oogie Boogie Bash, which started last year. Last year was the inaugural
And I fell in love with
year.
it.
Yeah, and none of that stuff is gonna be happening.
It's tough, man.
Sad face to the max. I'm about to cry.
Oh, gosh.
No tears, please.
Okay,
Not
all right.
on today's
Okay,
broadcast.
suck it up.
That's right. Think of Christmas, think of snow, think of sleigh bells, off you go. There's Katrina in the sky. She can fly. She can fly. She can fly.
That was
God
beautiful.
bless. Thank you. Thank
This is
you.
so great.
Yeah. And Garrett Hassel, our Walt Disney World reporter, has the day off, so we wish him a very good Saturday. But here in the production dungeon, as always, to ensure this world moves correctly, it's producer Kurt. Good day, producer Kurt.
I got thrown off because I usually wait for Garrett.
It's true.
So it just kind of threw me off.
After
today.
last week's broadcast, when you had a Thanos sipper and you snapped him out of existence, I didn't think he'd be back.
I'm going safe today. I have my Cars Land sipper.
Oh, look at you and your cone.
So it's just a cone today.
You
I
and your
it's
cone sipper.
yeah, it's a lot safer this way.
Oh, very nice. My
Yeah.
gosh. And does one get that from Cars Land?
Well, yes, you do.
Delightful.
And
What
the cozy
things
cone.
have you put in your cone, Kurt?
Drinks.
Oh, yes. No, I'm asking which types.
Oh, what types of drinks?
Yes.
Liquid varieties.
Ah,
Yeah, you know.
very good.
Some
Awesome.
Yeah,
some
you know.
great libations over there.
Great libations. Yeah. That's.
Usually soda.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Sorry,
that.
I'm a soda drinker.
I was wondering what specifically it was. So that's good. Okay. Well,
Soda's a liquid.
thank you for bringing Kurt's Cup Corner cone. today. That's a mouthful.
Wow.
That is, yeah, let's
You're
say that
welcome.
three
Thank you
times fast.
very much. While Garrett, our Walt Disney World reporter, may not be with us today, he'll be back on a future broadcast. We are blessed with the presence of somebody else who's near Walt Disney World as we speak. Mice Chat author Chloe Ferreira has joined us today to talk a little bit about what's going on in Walt Disney World, especially since this sort of grand reopening has occurred in these unprecedented times. Chloe, thanks so much for being a part of the show.
Of course, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Well, hey, let's start right off the bat. Tell us what the heck. The Walt Disney World Resort has finally reopened its theme parks. You were there for most of it. What did you experience? What were some of the things that spoke to you upon its reopening?
It's very empty.
Yeah.
And 3 of the 4 parks, yes, it's very, very empty. It almost feels like, you shouldn't be there. And I know a lot of people might argue against that anyways. I think going to the parks right now is a very personal decision. And if you decide to venture out, of course, and be very aware of your actions and your movements and keep your distance between people, but it's weird. It feels like, I don't know if anybody remembers back in the late 2000s of extra magic hours when Magic Kingdom would be open till 3 or 4 in the morning and you could go on Splash or Space Mountain back to back, no waits, and it felt great. You had the whole park to yourself, but right now it's in the middle of the day in July and it's like that. It just feels eerie and I love it, but at the same time I miss the buzzing of what the park used to be. It's very strange, and you kind of have to alter your typical park plans to a new leisurely pace. You're taking your sweet time going through the parks right now, and that people are not used to that. They're done in the parks now within 2 or 3 hours, and now you can spend the full 10 hours if you want in the parks that are open right now doing multiple rides if you want, because almost everything is a walk-on.
And how did it feel from the perspective of, somebody walking into, say, the Magic Kingdom for the first time? I mean, Magic Kingdom typically is quite a buzz with activity. It's one of the busiest theme parks in the entire world. Walking into that environment and knowing that things were just so empty, was there a lot of attractions, experiences that were not yet open? Were there a few that just hadn't yet come back online? Like, we've seen the list of what was available, but was there anything in particular that had more downtime, like cleaning or something like that?
Not so much. Magic Kingdom doesn't have I don't think they have any, no, they don't have any live production shows. Any of the shows like PhilharMagic, Country Bear Jamboree, Carousel Progress, those are all running as normal. I know that the cast members are on a rolling 2-hour basis for sanitizing each of the attractions. And they announced throughout the queue that they're sanitizing, and it's between a 10 to 20 minute additional wait depending on the ride. But that goes by pretty quickly when you're not waiting at all usually in the queue. But no, Magic Kingdom, everything was open that we wanted to do. We did mostly everything. And shockingly, the place with the longest line was the Splash Mountain gift shop, because people want to get the Briar Patch merchandise before it's all gone. And that was kind of alarming. There was a virtual wait list for that. That was at 4 to 5 hours on the day that we were there, which is just
That's nuts.
insane, right? Like, you can
Yeah.
walk on every ride, but there's a line to get Splash Mountain merchandise. Just what a world we live in.
That's for sure. And share with us, if you will, sort of your own experience from park to park. What were some of the things you were seeing from the perspective of people minding their P's and Q's when it came to social distancing, when it came to the idea of wearing face masks? I mean, obviously, these are things that as Americans, it's not something we've really done all that much, until just recently, where it's either forced on us in certain occasions or it's something that we're trying to get more used to. So knowing that, was that something you were seeing people sort of being compliant with, or not necessarily?
Yeah, so I was lucky enough to attend cast member, pass holder, and the official reopening day of some of the park. And between cast member opening was a breeze. Everyone was wearing their masks. Everyone was spaced apart. Pass holder, it was starting to get, you had to be much more aware of where you're moving to and people around you if they have their mask on or off. And then reopening with a lot more guests, introduced into the mix, it can get a little wary in some places. And again, the best you can do if you decide to go to the parks is just to be aware and make sure you're aware of yourself and, again, your surroundings. And I mean, most of the 3, I'll kind of go park by park.
Sure.
Do you want me to kind of do that? Okay.
Yeah.
So Magic Kingdom is wide open. I would say between any of the 4 parks, the mornings are the busiest. Anytime around like 12, 1, it starts to dwindle down in some areas, especially like the common areas of Main Street, Hollywood Boulevard, the Oasis area, Animal Kingdom, and Epcot Future World. I would recommend going later in the day, of course. So Magic Kingdom, all of the rides were a walk-on from late morning to afternoon. We could kind of do YouTubers out there right now who have done all the attractions in one day. We didn't take that on, but we got to do everything we wanted to do. You definitely notice some of the restaurants and gift shops that are closed, and that's sad to see. But again, you're able to experience those favorite classic attractions at the Magic Kingdom. Epcot has their hybrid flower and garden food and wine festival going on. So that has been really interesting to see. They have utilized their World Showplace building, which is of course air conditioned, which is great right now. And they have a couple of the favorite outdoor kitchens in there, so you can enjoy some of the foods and beverages from the festival in there. There's a virtual wait list to get in there, but once you're in there, there's no lines. It's very relaxed, again, inside. So it's a nice break area. All of the rides are open there. Of course, except Ratatouille, we're waiting for the opening for that one day soon, hopefully. The Skyliner's running, so you can go over to the Riviera, I guess, if you'd like. Of course, there's no park hopping right now, but one day soon, maybe. Yeah. And then Hollywood Studios, I would say, is on the bottom of my list, just because that park holds 5 of the latest attractions to open on Walt Disney World property. You have all of Toy Story Land, Star Wars Land, and now Runaway Railway, which are all big crowd pleasers, of course, but with the virtual queue system for Rise of Resistance mixed in with everybody not yet experiencing Runaway Railway since the park closed shortly after its opening, it's very busy in a lot of areas in that park. I would recommend, if you do decide to go to Hollywood Studios, to go later in the day, like after 2 or 3 p.m. It started to clear out. The Rise of Resistance virtual queue is working pretty well. I believe they just changed it to 2 times instead of 3. But I did not have very good luck on the first 2 times of the 3. I finally got a backup group at a 1 or the 4 p.m. Opening, and now they're open from 10 a.m. and then the 2 p.m. So hopefully people can still get on. But mixed with, you combine Rise of Resistance virtual queue, the Runaway Railway opening, and then the small area that already is Toy Story Land. And we found a lot of people just occupying smaller pockets of the park for all the new attractions. And Epcot, Animal Kingdom, Magic Kingdom, they all have, they have some tight areas, but mostly they have wide open spaces for people to walk. So it's a lot easier for you to keep your distance and stay safe. So Hollywood Studios, I would just put on the back of the list if you're deciding to venture into the parks. And then the only other thing, this is kind of a weird recommendation for Hollywood Studios, is Runaway Railway's pre-show, which is actually a large part of the story, is closed off. It's not closed off, it's just turned off, and you're just walking through to get onto the ride vehicle, which actually cuts out a lot of the theming in the story, like the setup for the story. And if you can wait, I would wait to ride Runaway or experience Runaway Railway when it's back open to its full experience, because right now it's not the typical experience that Disney wanted to enjoy. So if you can hold off on a brand new ride, I know that's asking for a lot, but and then Animal Kingdom is a breeze. That's probably the part that feels the most empty. Everything is a walk-on, including Flight of Passage. Safaris is usually maybe like a 10-minute wait because all the animals are out and it's great to see them again.
What was it like riding in the safari with like the new, what was it like riding in the safari with like the new added like plexiglass in between each row?
Yeah. So it's I heard it was plexiglass from someone as well, but I just went 3 days ago and it was a clear vinyl, so it's soft. Okay. And you have to keep your mask on, which is fine. And it's pretty enjoyable. I mean, they're only seating 1 party per row, so if you're just a couple, you have the whole row, so you're sitting on each side of the truck, so you get really great views as it is. I think when you're a party of 4 or 5 and you're having to squeeze in the same row, and whoever's in the middle is kind of screwed out of a good view, but for the most part it's good.
Very good. And I was wondering more specifically, like, did it overall, your visits to each of these parks, did it feel safe to you? I think that's a question on everybody's mind. You know, a lot of people are concerned about the idea of visiting Disney in a pandemic, and obviously it's up for debate as to whether or not it was the right thing to do to open up, you know, theme parks right now, and, you know, people are going, what the heck's happening? Did you feel safe there?
I do feel safe there. I didn't feel safe in certain areas of Hollywood Studios. And when that came, you know, when that happened, we just left for another area. I would have left that park altogether if the entire park felt like that. I have no problem leaving Disney if I at all feel uncomfortable. But for the most part, I'd say like 99% of the time, I do feel safe at the Disney parks. I would like to see a few changes implemented. Those busy areas of Hollywood Studios or even Magic Kingdom sometimes where we could get, you know, recommended walking lanes, even if it's just masking tape on the ground of where people should walk, because you're still getting those 6 or 8 walking all together as a barrier towards you, and you have to kind of go to the side and let them pass. I hold my breath actually sometimes. But that, and then also I would love to see, I know it's against character integrity, but I'd love to see the face characters wearing themed masks.
Yes,
and
1000%. I'm with you.
Tyler's happy with that.
Yeah.
it's really disappointing to see that happening. And even like their character handlers are wearing masks, or, you know, the horse handlers that are with Gaston and Merida. I feel like it's a missed merchandise opportunity too. They could make, you know, a bunch of themed masks that the princesses are wearing that kids can also, you know, match and wear too.
Yeah. I mean, I could see Gaston being that kind of a jerk, but I don't know if I could see, like, you know, the princesses and whatnot getting on board with that. Like, that just makes me feel like, honestly, I've said it on the show before. I feel like some ignorant person is going to go to guest relations and be like, if Cinderella doesn't have a mask on, why do I have to wear a mask? Like something like that, you know, like. So I'm with you 1000%. You mentioned earlier that Hollywood Studios would be the last park that you would want to go to because it's so crowded. Do you think what contributes to those crowds a little bit is the fact that there's so many live shows there and they're not doing any of those shows, or is that part of it? Yeah. Yeah.
And I know the capacity is really cut back, but we're really noticing, you know, what kind of people eaters those shows are on the day to day. Indiana Jones, Little Mermaid, and Beauty and the Beast, and of course Fantasmic at night. You definitely notice that it's kind of like the crowds are moving throughout the park all together. Like we noticed, you know, Toy Story Land was busy at one point of the day, and then Galaxy's Edge was, and then Turn Rock and Roller Coaster, and those shot up to like an hour of a wait. And because there's so few attractions there, it really depends on the overall crowd's movement of where they're going about the park. And honestly, everybody's staying in the park until they have their Rise of Resistance boarding group. Once they get on the ride, they leave the park. There's nothing else to do at that point. So, I mean, I went to the best part about studios right now is they're utilizing Star Wars Launch Bay as a relaxation station where you can remove your mask for a little while and air conditioning, which is heaven. And it was also weird because there's no music, no sound effects, and it's just weird being in that building with nothing else going on. But I sat there for a good 2 hours waiting for my Rise of Resistance boarding group to be called. And every other group that was across the room from me, they were also waiting for their Rise of Resistance group to be called. So it just felt like everybody in the park was just waiting for Rise, and then they'd leave.
Wow. Do you feel like there's any sort of big missing piece to the overall Walt Disney World vacation at this point? So obviously if people are going to be spending a full day's price for, say, half a day's experience, do you think that there are any parks in particular that have just, I mean, you've mentioned Hollywood Studios there being kind of a half day of that, and after you hit up those major new attractions, it's really not worth sticking around for. Do you feel like any other park is sort of lacking in value overall?
I miss fireworks shows. I miss nighttime spectaculars for sure. Happily Ever After and Epcot Forever. I do miss those. I honestly, even though they are technically all a half day experience, you're able to walk onto every single ride that you want to. So if you're down for going to the parks right now, you're getting a really good experience getting to do those attractions more than once often too, besides Rise of Resistance. But you could ride Flight of Passage all day if you wanted to. Like, I mean, people pay full price admission to wait half a day just to do that ride once, you know? So it kind of depends on what you value in your park experience. Of course, a lot of the dining locations are closed, and no character meet and greets is odd, especially for children. For what I get out of the park experience, it's still worth it to me just because I can go and be in the park and then ride the rides that I want to experience.
Well, that's a great way to put it. And we so appreciate your insight, having been there and experienced these things. A lot of questions that people have when it comes to, should I, shouldn't I right now? And I think you're absolutely right. It's a very personal decision at this point as to whether or not you visit a place like Orlando. And we look forward, Chloe, to checking in with you again here in the near future, and definitely seeing what else is happening out east as, we still sit tight waiting for Disneyland theme parks to reopen here on this coast. But I am very much looking forward to the day in which we get to see our theme parks reopen here, and maybe we'll be taking a trek out east. Maybe you've made some people a little bit more at ease with your information. We can't thank you enough for that.
Of course, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You betcha. Chloe Ferreira of Mice Chat, our favorite author covering everything Walt Disney World. And you can definitely follow her at Carousel of Chloe over on social media. We thank her so much for being a part of the broadcast today. Did you hear the big news? Face masks. It's changed again in Disney parks from coast to coast. So once more, we have come across this news that it feels like week to week they're making some tweaks, they're making some changes. We did just hear, guys, that Walt Disney World has now decided to further clarify their policy, further enhance their rules, and saying you cannot eat and walk at the same time with your mask off. You must be stationary. You must put yourself in one spot in order to consume things. This seemed like a no-brainer. This seemed like something people probably should have been doing to begin with, but obviously if they had to make it a rule, if they had to make it a policy, it clearly wasn't happening. Tyler, you pumped to hear that this has now been clarified for people?
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, our experience is only at downtown Disney, for example, but even at downtown Disney, and well, I guess I would say actually when we went to Las Vegas too, we had kind of that experience of people kind of milking it a little bit. You could tell that people would kind of leave that last sip in their beer or whatever so that they could just walk around with their mask off. And so I'm very happy to hear that sort of thing. I think that, again, like you just said, is a no-brainer. So really on board with it. And I'm glad that they made that choice. I hope that they just enforce it.
It almost seems like a situation where, people were trying to get around the policy. We were hearing a lot, Katrina, in Disney Springs initially, because Disney Springs, obviously in Florida, is very much a shopping, dining environment where people are kind of eating on the go because there's so many snack type foods to have. And it sounds like, if you were in a situation where you just grabbed yourself a Starbucks cup, you could, on the back end of this, walk around with your mask off because you could just say you were taking a sip the whole time.
Yep. And then they have alcoholic beverages kind of everywhere you can buy at Disney Springs. And so you can just go and get a margarita and walk around with your friends and just go, we're all having a drink, but only one or two of you have a drink. And then the rest of the three or whatever don't have a drink. And so they're going to take their masks off too because you guys have their mask off. So I'm kind of glad that they started enforcing it because it started to get a little crazy, especially for Instagrammers and stuff. I was seeing on Instagram that they would, buy a drink or something and just so they could have their mask off to take that picture, whatever. And now it's becoming a faux pas to take a picture without your mask off.
Sure.
So I'm kind of glad that they're enforcing this rule for sure because it was really getting me when I kept seeing people with that one last sip in their cup and they're milking it, walking around. I'm okay. I have one sip left.
Can't call me out.
Yeah, just a side note. Can we make selfies and stuff? Can we just wear our masks while we're doing selfies and taking pictures and stuff? Is that hard? I feel like that shouldn't be a reason to take your mask off. But that's just me. Side note.
Where you keep your mask on to do it. I mean, I know for people at Disney or Magic Kingdom, you have to stay stationary to get that picture in front of the castle, which I'm okay with because, if you spent X amount of dollars for your vacation, I know you don't want a picture with your mask on in front of the castle. So stay stationary, take your picture, but then quickly put it back on and then continue what you're doing.
I don't know. It's still you though. Isn't it about the memory more than what your stupid mouth looks like? Not you just in general. I just mean, one's mouth, you know what I mean?
Stupid mouth, Katrina.
I don't get it.
Lips,
I guess
stupid
I don't.
mouth, stupid teeth.
I guess I
God.
just don't understand why the bottom of your face is so important in a picture.
Because
But
some people like put it on their mantle, like you said, the
Sure.
Splash Mountain pictures and stuff. They put it on your. We have pictures in front of the castle on the mantle, so it's
well,
just
yeah,
like
but it wasn't.
something
But it
cute.
also wasn't a global pandemic at that point. that's a difference.
And I definitely
I
think
get
that if any, and I understand that way
Yeah.
of thinking, guys, absolutely. But this is, you want to talk about memories, like wearing your face mask. Presumably, it will not be a situation where we're doing it for that long. But knowing that you went to Disney during this time, that face mask, the mask in general, anything on your face, it's a real indicator that this was a very unique time. You want to talk about memories, even though it's not a good memory to have necessarily that there was a pandemic going on, it does sort of create that moment in time
Yeah.
where clearly you were at Disney during an experience where everything was different.
Make it fun.
Right.
Get some
Everything was
really
unique.
cute masks for if you have a couple. Those stupid shirts that are saying like I'm with her and I'm with him or whatever. Do with the masks.
Yeah,
Create
that's
masks.
smart.
Go buy
There you go.
masks. Like
Yeah.
buy matching masks. Make it fun. Like whatever. It's like one of those things.
Her stupid
And-
face with an arrow.
Right?
My stupid face. Yeah.
My stupid face, your stupid mouth, your stupid mouth. And then on top of it, you don't have to worry about having a stupid smile because you're covered.
Yep.
So all you have to do is just like
Raise your
kind of like,
eyebrows.
raise your eyebrows a little bit and like do your thing and then that's it. You can make a funny face in the like underneath,
Yeah, wearing the mask in a photo is exactly the same thing as buying one of those mugs that has the date on it.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same thing.
Yeah, no.
It kind of is now.
Identical. Absolutely.
Poor Disney. Now they have to come out with really cool masks.
And we also learned that Epcot has now started their own sort of enforcement squad in that park. Magic Kingdom had it, Disney Springs had it, and I should say still have those squads, those teams of cast members that circulate amongst the property and make sure that you are abiding by the rules as Disney says they need to be abided by. Whether you want to wear a mask or not, it's something that Disney now requires of you to be on their property, and you can only remove it during dining or when you are taking a swig of water. But that's a situation where now everybody has to sort of get that arm of enforcement behind them if they're not necessarily wanting to play fair. And so now there are some very polite, very respectful cast members that are just reminding people, especially with the new ruling of you need to pull off to the side of the road, find a stationary spot if you're going to be eating, especially in a place like Epcot, which has their Taste of Epcot sort of food and wine type festival going on at the moment where everybody's eating for the most part. And, if you've watched any sort of video coverage of the events of the Taste of Epcot at this point, you will see that a lot of folks don't have masks on because they're eating and drinking. It's encouraging it. So now they have sort of reemphasized those points. You must be stationary. You must be in one spot in order to consume your food and remove your mask. Again, one of those situations that I'm sure nobody wants to be in this spot. Nobody wants to be dealing with these things. But until the end of this pandemic happens, we are here to deal with it. Guys, we also saw Disneyland Resort on top of all of this joining the fray in these new rulings, and they are also fixing their language to no longer allow the gator masks, as well as requiring people to be stationary and pulling off to the side of the road. You guys recently went to Downtown Disney here, the only part of the Disneyland Resort that is open.
Yeah.
Did you see anybody pulling off to the side of the road to eat, or were people eating, drinking, and moving at the same time?
I know I saw people with drinks and they were walking around, especially with that milkshake from Black Tap. So people were walking around with that milkshake and they're like, oh man, this is so cool. And they're like, trying to
Like
eat
that,
it while
yeah.
they were walking.
I also saw a
And-
couple of people with just like a water bottle that they brought from their car, and
Yeah.
I think they just were like, "Oh, I've got the water in my hand." But anyway,
And then
go
we
ahead.
definitely were sitting out at Uva Bar for lunch, and then we saw people walking by with gators on, and I was like, wait,
Yeah.
I thought those were banned. And then I was like, I guess that was only at Disney World, not Disneyland. And even then, the people with the gators, you could see one person slowly walking, and the gators slowly started to fall beneath their and their little noses peeking out. And I was like, oh, man. So I'm kind of glad that they got rid of that and the whole drinking thing, because again, like what you said, someone can go to Starbucks, go get a drink, and then just walk around and milk it for downtown Disney is not that big like Disney Springs, so I feel like there was a lot of people off to the side where right across from World of Disney where all the seating is, and a lot of people were sitting off there with their masks off, and so they were doing that. But then I just felt like everybody was kind of clumped together. There wasn't really like social distancing in that section because if you've never been to Disneyland, Disneyland was like, it's small. It's very tight spaces. It's not like Disney World and it's not like Disney Springs where it's just this massive area where you can freely walk without bumping into somebody, you know? It's very tiny spaces, and when they have those people sitting off to the side, it really starts creating this like funnel, and people hanging out by on the other side by Starbucks. It just by World of Disney, it just creates this like tight area, and so they need to create like another safe zone for people to like kind of sit and pull off to the side and do their thing without their mask.
Yeah, I think they really do need to create a safe zone, because the thing that struck me more than anything about going to Downtown Disney was that how many people just decided, I'm going to sit down on this bench, and it's literally right in the middle of Downtown Disney where people are walking by on both sides, and I'm going to take my mask off now. And they don't have a drink, they don't have food or anything like that, and it's just like, I don't think there's any rule that because your butt is touching concrete, you get to take your mask off. Like, that's the thing that what struck me more than anything is the people that were clearly just bending the rules, or the people that would put it below their nose. But to the cast members' credit, every time I saw somebody not wearing their mask correctly or walking through the crowd without a mask at all, they were corrected immediately.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that was a really good thing. And I think Disney is doing everything they can. And the cast members, I give the cast members more credit than Disney, because the cast members are the ones that have to enforce this stuff. Disney is just mandating, and then the people on the front line actually have to do these things. So I give them credit, because it's not easy to tell people on a regular basis to do what they're supposed to be doing, I'm sure. But unfortunately, we're at that place right now where just people don't want to do what they're supposed to be doing a lot of the time. But anyway, it's I think I felt mostly safe at Downtown Disney. And in fact, we're going to be going to Knott's tomorrow to do the Taste of Calico, which is this little food event that they're doing. You buy a tasting card for $25. You go in there, and they have all these different boysenberry themed foods and stuff. So we're really excited for that. I'm really excited to see how it plays out. I've heard mixed reviews on how well people are doing with masks. But I guess we'll report back with that stuff next week.
Yeah.
Very smart of them, these little sort of food experiences and stuff outside.
Yeah.
If Disney could only do it for their food and wine, that was sadly canceled because of the pandemic, you know?
Yeah.
It was just like, it was just kicking off, you know? So I was like, oh, if only Disney opened up just that one little section you had to buy a card to get in. Like, it'd be so amazing, but then no one would want to leave.
And as I understand, they just removed all of their food booths that they'd been holding on to for the last couple months at California Adventure, where they usually hold the Food and Wine Festival. They were kind of sitting on them for a bit, I think, hoping that they'd get some good news, they'd be able to reopen. But now officially, as of I believe last week or the week before, those booths are now gone. So they had a chance, they had an opportunity, they were holding out, but you're just paying rent on these things, and
Sure.
You should have put them in the Esplanade and then just kind of created like a little lineup, and then they had little sections
Honestly, that
where you
sounds
can
like
like
a
go
great
off
idea.
to eat. So that's like a safe area, you know?
Yeah, like I wonder what the difference is, because obviously Knott's is they're letting people in their theme park. You're going to be in Ghost Town and things like that. So and there's just not going to be any rides or shows or anything, right? So what's the difference between Knott's being able to do that and Disney? I wonder if Disney just doesn't
There's
want
more
to.
people that want to go to Disney.
I mean,
just
yeah, but they
to
could
do
also
it, you know, to be
they could
there.
also do like a hard ticket thing like Knott's is doing, where they're like, no, we're gonna sell this many tickets, and when it's sold out, it's sold out. You know. I
you
think
can
the
still manage it,
Esplanade's a great idea, actually.
Thank you.
big wide open space. You know what? And you have
I had
that
an idea.
you have that whole area that goes all the way up to Harbor Boulevard as well at the resort, where there's those like additional wide open spaces where typically buses would travel into, and you would have all of those additional extra wide spaces, I should say, for these things to perhaps go into.
I don't think restaurants would be happy with it, but
But you
too
know
bad.
what? It would bring some sort of business back to that into the resorts.
I think it would bring a little bit more traffic flow, because like right now everybody's just like hanging on where the food is, you know? So everybody's eating their ice cream, everybody's getting their Wetzel pretzel. So if they're able to kind of spread it out, people would be able to like go and have their break and take off their mask off to the side somewhere.
Maybe that's exactly what it is. Actually, now that you mention it, you're on fire today. I feel like they could be worried about their third-party vendors and stuff that are selling restaurant food, and they've already been closed long enough and been without money and everything. So maybe they just don't want to take that away from them at this point. You could be very
well
right.
done, Katrina. Look at you go. My God.
Now they just have to open up the other half of downtown Disney where they shut all the restaurants. like, Rainforest Cafe and ESPN Zone. Just bring in Chicken Guy and like some kind of cool barbecue joint, and I'll be set. I'll just sit there all day and eat.
Crossing our fingers, hoping for the good stuff. But now you are aware when it comes to face masks and the policy being changed once again, both in Disneyland as well as Walt Disney World. Pull off to the side of the road, they say. Make sure that you are stationary before you consume anything. Neck gaiters are no longer allowed out west. Here you have your face mask update. All right, if you haven't heard, got some big news for you. The Disneyland Resort is about to expand again. It seems like a very odd time for this to be approved, a very odd time for this to be moving forward. I think it's just coincidental. I think it's just because they got to it now. I don't think there's anything more to read into it, but the City of Anaheim Planning Commission has officially approved the final plans for the proposed Disney Vacation Club Tower at the Disneyland Hotel. So this is going into that space right behind the main pool area and right alongside where typically if you walk by like Goofy's Kitchen, there's also like a fitness center. There's a space right between all of that, a big grassy area where this tower is supposed to go in. You see there on screen if you are watching, proposed DVC tower area. In addition to that is also a DVC exclusive pool and some other goodies that they are adding to this back corner of the Disneyland Hotel property. This is exciting for the sake of knowing that the Disneyland Hotel is about to grow again, that the Disney Vacation Club is about to get more of a footprint at the Disneyland Resort, because currently all they have is over at the Grand Californian Hotel and Spa. They have their villas there, but now they're going to get some Disneyland Hotel action. It is very strange to me. We covered this originally when the artist rendering was proposed right off the bat, and it looks so dramatically different from the rest of the hotel.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that perhaps we're going to see an overhaul of the hotel with this?
They have to.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're opening up a brand new section of the hotel and then you see the rooms and the state of the rooms of the other, you would be like, wait, what? It just isn't. I don't know. They have. It's run down. The carpets are bad. The bedding area, it's kind of cheesy. So they would I feel like they would have to kind of like zhuzh it up just like a little bit,
Sure.
Maybe add some more, because it looks like on their picture they're doing like some kind of cool rock work design on the side. So I feel like even that they would maybe try to have to do like the outside or something too, that's a big overhaul.
Yeah.
But they definitely need to focus on the inside first.
I think that that was definitely in the cards. I wonder if they're going to change that vision at this point because of everything that's been going on. It's going to look weird for a while. I'm looking over at a picture of it right now. But like, yeah, I think that was in the cards, but we don't know where things are going at this point, and things could be very different now. I think it's a cool looking building. It reminds me of like if Cabana Bay was a little more like classy, I guess I would say. Like, which not to say I don't like Cabana Bay. I love Cabana Bay over in Orlando and
Universal property.
Universal property. But I think it's going to be really cool. I'm excited to see what they do, and I just look back to the old days of Disneyland Hotel when they used to have little tiny balconies and they had the marina in the middle. I miss those days, honestly. Now I'm waxing
Could
poetic.
you reminisce?
These rooms are going to be so expensive. Like,
it.
They're going to be
They are
insane. Like, I'm curious if they're going to, I mean, it looks like there's different kinds of rooms, right? Like there's smaller rooms, bigger rooms.
Yeah.
There's like nice suites and stuff. But I mean, how big of a difference is it going to be compared to like the Grand Californian
Yeah.
DVC rooms, Because even those apparently are really hard to get. And I've never really heard anything super great about them. They're just in the Grand Californian.
Yeah, I will say like the current Disneyland Hotel, I think is the worst value on property. I think if you're going to Paradise Pier, it's a little bit cheaper. The rooms are about the same to me as the Disneyland Hotel rooms. And then if you're going to Grand Californian, obviously it's going to be a little more expensive, but everything about Grand Californian is terrific. All the rooms were redone, in the last couple years, and just the hotel itself is just so gorgeous that there's very little times that we stay at Disneyland Hotel if we're going to stay on property, just because it has such a low value to me. But so I'm with Katrina that it would be nice if they updated this stuff. I just don't know after coronavirus if that's what's going to be happening.
Well, this Disney Vacation Club Tower was expected to be open in 2023. That was the original indication from Disney's part. No doubt that is perhaps being tabled entirely or definitely being pushed down the road. As Tyler was mentioning, this is definitely something that, because of the pandemic, could very well be pushed back really, really far or might get cut altogether. It is interesting to know that the city of Anaheim has approved it, and Disney hasn't really made a statement. So it makes me think that it's still on track. I think they otherwise probably would have mentioned something or said, we're going to, pull back on this for just a bit. But with all the capital expenditures that have to be eliminated at this point, all of the projects, even for Walt Disney World's 50th anniversary, that have now either been put on hold, eliminated, or just vanished from existence, like the Mary Poppins attraction that supposedly was coming to Epcot, or the overhaul of Spaceship Earth. These things we've talked about recently have just disappeared from the preview center at Epcot. No mention as to what's going to happen. No mention as to where these are going to go.
Yeah, what about the hotel, the Star Wars hotel?
So there's some progress on that end,
Yeah.
Which is good news. It
Is it
looks
gonna
like
be
some more
delayed?
permits have been filed. Some things are in motion on that end. So delayed, probably. Because if you don't even have enough people visiting, your property to fill normal resorts, an upcharged special ticket type resort where, you're locked in for so many days at a time, boy, bad timing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Real bad timing.
Real bad.
Oh, bummer.
At
Can't
any
even open a
rate,
window anyway.
yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, you're totally locked in space. That's the way that it works. But we look forward to seeing Disney Vacation Club Tower coming to the Disneyland Hotel and hopefully reviving the whole hotel property. It is in an odd place.
It's gonna be gorgeous.
it
though.
looks great.
I would be like, hey, can I come in and see your room? I'm gonna be like a creeper. I'm just like, hey, what's up? You want to be my friend?
Will
Let's go.
you let me in? I would like to sit on your
Please,
couch.
sir, let me in.
Would you mind?
I know, ugh. And then they would have to come to Trader Sam's, and we'll be like, no, you can't come here. You have your own. Stay over there if you don't want to let us in your room.
nook.
They're building a new pool, right?
Yeah, a new
That's-
pool,
yeah.
a whole new, sort of back section behind the tower.
Yeah.
It's just a little odd to me that the placement of this tower is obviously on the interior portion of the Disneyland Hotel square, if you will. This kind of
Yeah.
completes 4 walls. This is the 4th wall. And then the other side of this tower faces some unsavory Anaheim neighborhoods. So I just don't necessarily know what the sell point is other than, hey, you're above the pool, the
Yeah.
main pool. And look at these towers around you. So it's an odd place to put a DVC tower. But
The
I
rooms are all
guess it's
facing
nice to have
one way,
space.
right? The rooms are all facing towards the middle by
It
Trader
looks that
Sam's,
way.
right?
Yeah,
And
it hasn't
then
been clarified.
The
It really
pool's
looks
on the
like
back
that.
end,
Sure.
maybe where no one can see over the wall, but then put
might be.
pretty shrubbery or something. I don't know.
I feel like you said it earlier though, Wade, which is they just have so little DVC rooms right
Yeah.
now, with only Grand California doing it. And we've talked to DVC members before who are like, we can't even ever stay at Disneyland because we never can get a room. They go immediately. And so I think this is just them grasping at straws and just trying to find some place to put some of those DVC rooms.
Well, Disney Vacation Club, you have some space coming your way real soon at the Disneyland Resort. Cross your fingers and hope that it will be not too far out beyond 2023, but at any rate, approved by the city of Anaheim. Big news, ladies and gentlemen, and that would be that the Disneyland Resort has sent an official notice to people that were planning on visiting, people that had made reservations already for certain hotels and experiences through August the 22nd. They have now been officially canceled by Disneyland. So every week we seem to be playing with this. Every week we seem to be getting these little nudges from the company that are indicating, all right, a little further out before we open, a little bit more. We have to just push a little bit more. Obviously, with the state of California going into modified shutdown all over again, this has since pushed the Disneyland Resort to cancel things even further out. We've talked about, well, so now what date do we think that Disneyland is going to be reopening its theme parks? If it's already pushing out the hotel stay dates, then it very well could be later than that. I know, Katrina, you've said many times you were hoping for your birthday, August 3rd.
I know. I don't think it's happening.
Looks like that's definitely not happening. But now knowing that things have been pushed out to August 22nd in terms of reservations being canceled, do you have any inclination that we might be looking at something just post Labor Day?
Okay, so at first I was like thinking it would be like Labor Day way back in like what when we did it like in June
You did
or
say
something.
that. That's right.
And I was
yeah.
like, they can't do it in July. That's crazy. And so I was like maybe Labor Day or something. But then even that, like, because they want to get their one last push. But now like with the whole school thing going on, where they're fighting over schools are going to be open, schools are going to be remote, all that stuff. I'm like maybe after Labor Day to kind of with the crowd settled. I think they don't want to open by the holiday. I know Garrett said like the 21st. I'm gonna say like the 14th or something, like on a like that Monday or something, to
Interesting.
try to like after the holiday and then kind of like before before fall. But we'll see.
What do you think, Tyler?
I don't think it's happening anytime soon. I think September at the earliest, but I just feel like I don't see that happening, unfortunately. I mean, we've been, like you said in the beginning, Wade, we've been playing this game now for months where they've been saying, oh, we're going to open here, and then it doesn't open. Oh, well, now this is the date. No, it's not opening. And we've even heard that, like, some of our cast member friends have been kind of toyed around with, for lack of a better term, because they want to open, but, California won't let them, I guess, which is, I don't know. Disney seems they've been proving themselves to do pretty well in Florida, I suppose, but it's just I just don't know if it's the right time. I'm still not sure yet, and I don't know if anybody's sure. And I guess if we're not sure, let's not play guinea pigs with our human lives. So I just don't know if it's going to happen anytime soon. It's not happening in August. I think we're going to miss summer at the very earliest. So that's my opinion.
I mean, I know we recently spoke about, we had a question from a viewer asking us about, like, is the Rose Parade being canceled? The Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade version of New Year's here in Southern California that we have every year. It's a huge annual tradition, very big deal, broadcast all over the world. So if, you have never seen it, it's a huge deal for us to have canceled it. And, it brings like 1 million people to Southern California, and they stand along roadways. And one of the questions that we had recently been asked was, do you anticipate this having any effect on Disneyland? And this as a standalone video, guys, as a standalone topic, this blew up online and brought all kinds of attention to the idea that is Disneyland potentially going to reopen in 2021? And the more they have to keep pushing out this date, the more I'm like, wow, we are really inching closer to a very realistic 2021 reopening. I know that Disney, because I don't think for a second that they wouldn't reopen if they have the chance, because I think they absolutely would. I think if they have that blessing by the state, they're going to reopen this sucker.
Yeah, they've already wanted to.
Yeah, and
So,
you're right. We've seen it. But knowing that, we're now in this bizarre position where they have to keep pushing out these reservations a little bit further. I don't know. I guess I do kind of get the feeling that if all goes right, and we start to see a drop in cases here, that we are going to see something in September. It feels right. It feels like a time where things are going to come together, especially as Disney World will have been open for several months, and they can point to that. As long as that looks good, Disney can use that as a reference point and say, hey there, state of California Governor Newsom, look at what we've been able to do in Florida, and perhaps implement that here. So I am getting the feeling that September might be a sweet spot. July really did seem too soon, in terms of the birthday.
I think that was like ridiculous that they were trying to open on the birthday too. I'm even though they didn't open till this day, I'm like, this was the dumbest idea I've ever seen. But I think like September is like a good is like a sweet spot kind of. People are trying to go back to school, remote stuff happening. It's in the summer, everybody gets antsy, they want to travel, they want to do something for their last bang, before they go back to work, or and sadly, like, unemployment's ending right now for people. So they kind of have to start getting a job or figure out, what they need to do to, so I don't know. It sucks. I feel so bad for all these people. And Disney has to try to figure out something, like even do what Knott's doing, like do some kind of like food event to where they're able to open up part of the park, or try to open up just the restaurants inside the park.
Sure. And
you have to have a reservation to get inside to at least get some kind of flow going into the parks, but like not doing rides or whatnot, just to kind of like get people employed again. But
And also remember the $600 bonus for many of the unemployed workers at this point, unemployed cast members. I mean, that's running out today. Officially, so as of this broadcast day, the 25th of July, this is officially run out. So, that additional supplement will no longer be there, and perhaps more and more people would like to get back to work.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens, definitely. But I know September feels more acceptable for some reason. It just feels like it's going to happen more than July ever was going to. And now seeing that the reservations are getting pushed out even more makes me think that we might be onto something here. 2021, I don't anticipate that being a reality,
I
but
think they have to try to open before that for at least their at year end
Yeah.
kind of like sales push.
and it'll be uber controlled, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Significantly controlled capacity.
Yeah, and I'm with you guys. I think the main reason to open right now is just so that they don't have to fire a bunch of people.
Yeah.
I mean, and that would be just horrible for many reasons. Obviously, that's what I worry about more than anything.
Yep.
Along with people's lives. So it's just it's a really tough choice. There's no clear. That's the problem. Is I think there's no clear answer.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody ever has an answer to this. But
And who knows, next week we might be hearing that reservations have been pushed out into the first week of September and canceled up until that point. But we wish Disney all the best, and hopefully this global pandemic of a bastard gets brought to its knees sooner rather than later. Unfortunately, Walt Disney World has seen a first large string of layoffs come to its property. Not necessarily Disney-specific cast members, but third-party participants from the Palmas and Patina restaurant groups, food employees, had been laid off across the property in various locations. They happen to run several restaurants within Epcot, most notably, Disney Springs and other places where these employees are now put on notice, unfortunately, and they will no longer have a job. We did see that shortly after Universal Orlando had reopened, they were already issuing pink slips to some of their own employees because there was just a lack of demand, and they had to sort of manage those costs. And I think we all had the fear that layoffs were coming to Disney World. Didn't anticipate it becoming third party right off the bat. I know some places in like Disney Springs, which is filled with third party participants, some of them haven't even reopened yet. Some locations have not even opened up their doors just because some aren't even ready to come back. Others, I think, might be a little nervous about coming back. And we also heard that Amble Hills Creamery along the Disney Boardwalk, they are not returning. And it sounds like they had another location they were going to be opening in Disney Springs that will also not be opening.
I thought they went bankrupt.
That was a story a few months ago.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's official as of this
So
week.
sad.
They aren't returning to their Disney's Boardwalk resort area. And so you have a situation where companies are struggling financially in such a big degree because they can't reopen, most of them. Those that can are struggling because they're not getting enough business. And now we're watching as employees are being laid off from a third-party perspective at Walt Disney World. And we saw Universal laying off some employees in their property. How long, and I hate even thinking about this, how long before Walt Disney World Disney-specific cast members start getting those pink slips, Katrina?
I don't even want to say a date because it's just like so hard to think about. And especially like Disneyland. Like Disneyland, they haven't even opened yet. So there's not, and it sucks because I feel like, even if they in September, they might have to start laying people off in October, which sucks for everybody. And then, Disney World, I think, again, they kind of laid off a lot of the people. I mean, already they don't have a college program. And they did, what is it called? For the international people that are in Epcot, they pretty much like laid all of those people off.
Right.
So they kind of already did it.
Without calling it a layoff.
Without
They just
saying
released
it.
them early.
They released them.
Yeah.
Go back to your country. Sorry, you're not coming back. We're gonna have other people that currently work for us fill your spot. And it's
several
just,
of them are still stuck right now.
Yeah.
I think that's another big piece of this story that we don't have a whole lot of time to cover, and we might in a future broadcast. But there are so many international college program students that were released a couple months ago. Their program was ended very quickly, and they can't even travel back to their own country, and so they're kind of like stuck in Florida at this point.
Yeah.
Which
no
sounds
one wants
horrible.
to get stuck
Yeah.
in Florida.
Knee deep in a swamp. What are you gonna do?
Just like make a friend with an alligator over here. It's just, yeah, they've already laid off those people in Epcot, so I'm sure like right now they're slowly just thinking, obviously they're not letting the part-timers back and stuff. They're probably gonna like let those people go first, but right now I think that they're doing as much as they can, and hopefully there's gonna be more demand for people to come to the parks like later in like the fall. So hopefully they need to keep these people employed, and then hopefully restaurants open so more people can be employed and whatnot. But I don't want to think about it. I don't
Well,
like it.
Tyler, and do you think there's enough pent up, like, I think there is enough pent up demand to try and, continue increasing that capacity at a place like Disney World? Because it seems like there's a lot of interest. It does appear that at least from the reservation windows that we've seen, they've been booked up pretty quick. And in terms of adding that capacity, when they do, obviously they're going to need more and more employees to return. So do you think that might be a saving grace here?
Not necessarily. I don't think increasing the amount of people that can make reservations by a large amount is probably a great idea, and I think they should just kind of stay the course and just. I think we're praising them for being safe right now. I think there's a fine line between being safe and letting so many people in that it's just not going to feel that way anymore. Yeah. And what that number is, I don't know. They probably have a better idea than I do, but that's my thing too about like opening Disneyland, for example, is like even what I was alluding to earlier about how these people are going to lose their jobs if they don't open soon. There's a lot of people that are going to lose their jobs even if they do open, so it's a lose-lose, unfortunately. I know this we're talking about Disney more, but like at Universal Studios, Halloween Horror Nights isn't happening. I know specifically for Orlando, they make as much money at Halloween Horror Nights that they would for an entire year of just running their park on a normal basis.
Excellent point.
And that means that a lot of people are going to be fired. There's a lot of people that aren't even going to get jobs that are there every year. We know a lady in Orlando who does, she works at Disney and she works at Universal, and she does the Halloween Horror Nights stuff every year, and she's not going to have that supplemental income this time. And it's not even just the people in the parks. It's going to be the creatives as well. And so that's really what we need to look at as well, is it's not just going to be the people who are going to have their jobs in the park. There's also tons of people outside of the parks who work on this, who work on entertainment or just different character things, whatever, and they're not going to have a place to go back to for quite some time. So I don't know if, so I just don't know how much it would help to have more people coming in, and I don't know if they will even be able to get more people coming in. So
I guess what I meant was, and you're absolutely right, if it's not safe, then you can't do it, and it would be completely irresponsible to do it. But I think what I meant more so was, I think the demand is there, and so if they can find a way to pull it off safely, which I don't know how you do that, but like, if you can find a way, and if more and more of these, CDC guidelines and these things that have been put in place to try and prevent a spread and try and prevent problems from, sort of resurfacing, if those sort of ease up a little bit and Disney has more wiggle room, I would hope that they might be able to turn that valve on and let that demand back in.
Well, no, I got you. I did. Maybe I didn't specifically address your question, but I got what you're saying. I just think that like what makes it safe is the lack of people. Sure. And open the floodgates, then you're going to see the queues fill up again, and you're going to see more people getting on the ferry at Magic Kingdom, for example. Yeah. And it's those things that it's the reasons like that where they're only putting like 2 people on a safari at Animal Kingdom, in a row. That's what's making it safe right now. Mm-hmm. And I just don't know. Can you have a good time going to Disney? And having long lines, but then not having those fireworks and stuff. Like we were talking earlier about how, maybe you're not going to have fireworks or whatever, but there's no lines for anything. So you get to go and do tons of attractions. What if there were lines for everything? Then it would be an even worse dollar proposition.
What if they made like a park hopper, but you only get you have to reserve Magic Kingdom, but with Magic Kingdom you're allowed to go to Epcot, and then if you have, or let's say Magic Kingdom, Animal Kingdom, Epcot, and Hollywood Studios. So if you had a reservation for Epcot, you're allowed to go to Hollywood Studios, and those are the only 2 you're allowed to go to. Versus Magic Kingdom, you're allowed to go to Animal Kingdom, and back, and then that's it. And then they would have buses that would take you to Animal Kingdom, which you'd have to have a bus driver, which means like someone, that cast member is saved. But then those people would be more enticed to kind of like, okay, well now I don't have to get stuck in Hollywood Studios. I can go to Epcot. So I guess we can just go between there,
Sure, but I could be wrong about this. Maybe I don't have inside knowledge of it, but I think the reason that they're not letting park hopping is because they don't want people to be using their public transportation as much as possible.
I guess so.
And if you're going to be throwing people back on the monorail, I just think that defeats the whole purpose of what you're doing to begin with. That's just my opinion of why I would think they're not doing park hopping anymore. Also, I think just to know exactly how many people are going to be at which park every day, and they go, okay, that's how many people are going to be there, and just makes it easier for them to see those numbers. So I think those are the two main reasons. But I just can't see them being like, yeah, go and get on some buses and use the monorail. I just don't think they want people doing that a lot. I think they're happy with get to your park, stay there, then go back to your hotel. And I think that's what's making it safe.
Yeah, no, and you're absolutely right. And I think that, Disney, we've talked to a certain degree that Disney's done things that we didn't even anticipate them being able to pull off in this process to keep people even safer. Than any of us could have even figured out. They were doing things on top of, sort of those minimal expectations. They were exceeding them. So if any company knows how to do it, it looks like Disney would know how to increase that crowd level and still keep things acceptable. Maybe opening up more spaces behind the scenes to move people around. Who knows? But at any rate, it is very difficult to see layoffs coming in any capacity, whether it be third party or whether it be Disney specific. These people are cast members because they do work on site. They do have the same name tag. You wouldn't know the difference. So it is very hard to see that happen. We wish everybody all the best that has been affected by these layoffs and understand that there's probably many more to come, unfortunately. We are hoping, certainly, that things turn around very soon. More Kingdom Report Live for you next.
Hey Kingdom team, do you need more magic in your life? We understand, which is why we connect you to more of what makes you happy 3 times a week. Catch our theme park coverage, vlogs, and reviews every Tuesday and Thursday. And experience the Kingdom Report Live, streaming every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. That's new content every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, crafted with you in mind. Don't miss out. Be sure to subscribe and activate notifications at The Kingdom Report on YouTube. And catch every update throughout the week at Kingdom Report Live on social media. See you there!
It is time for questions and answers with Kingdom Team All Call Time. You got the questions, we got the answers. You're submitting them over at kingdomreportlive.com via our form, or you are leaving them down below in the comments section of the videos that you are watching. We thank you so much for that. And if you haven't already, make sure that you're hitting that thumbs up button. Yeah, a thumbs up party is what we call that.
Yeah.
Hey, a thumb up here, a thumb up there, everywhere a thumb up, yeah.
Be careful where you put your thumb.
Watch your thumb placement. That's what we always say. But we've got some answers for you this week. Question coming to us from our friend Corey Borstein. Corey says, Disney World is requiring you to select one park per day of visiting. Do you imagine Disneyland will do the same? And do you think California Adventure is worth a full day ticket? So we've spoken to Walt Disney World individuals, people that have been there. We had somebody who was recently on our broadcast, Chloe Ferreira, who spoke at length about the types of experience that you can now sort of enjoy at Walt Disney World and the theme parks. Yes, you are paying full price, but she had mentioned that, hey, you get to do everything you want. There's really no waiting. You get to go on things multiple times if you want to. But this is obviously about Disneyland, and these parks are much smaller than your typical Disney World park. So California Adventure, being one of those parks that has always felt like a half-day park, if that, is a good question, I think. So Tyler, what do you think?
I think kind of what I was talking about in a previous segment, like part of the reason I think they're doing these one park things and not letting people hop is because it's just easier for them in the beginning here to track those numbers and at a time. I mean, you know, I think if you could get a reservation to California Adventure, I think a lot of people would then, you know, want to go over to Disneyland, and then Disneyland would probably end up more full than California Adventure. You know, just one or the other, really. I mean, I could see them having a hard time keeping one less crowded than the other, or keeping one not so crowded. You know what I'm saying? So I think it would be hard for them to allow people to park hop. And as far as is California Adventure a 1-day ticket? It depends on what you're looking for. And for me, it is. I like going to California Adventure a lot because we get to go to Disney so often, or
Spoiled.
We used to be able to go to Disney so often, I guess I should say. Yeah, no, we are spoiled. I'll fully admit that, and I think everybody needs to remember, if they get to go to Disney on a regular basis, then don't be a passhole. You're very lucky. You're very lucky. Yeah. So it depends on what you're going for. And we like to eat and drink and hang out. You know, I know, Wade, you are more of like a park explorer. I feel like you like to go experience a lot of different things. So we are there to hang out and see our friends that work at the parks and go to the festivals and have a drink at Carthay. Like, we do love that aspect of California Adventure. So for me, 100% worth it. We spend more time in California Adventure than we do at Disneyland at this point. We'll go and do a couple things in Disneyland and be like, all right, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
So, but for the normal person who maybe doesn't get to go on a regular basis, I could see Disneyland being a much better proposition. So it just is what you're looking for.
Yeah, California Adventure has a unique breathability to it by comparison. You know, I think that's why I like also jumping over to California Adventure as quickly as I can, and that's because it's just so much more open. You know, Disneyland is grown in at this point. You know, Disneyland at one point, way back when, was certainly an environment that was far less suffocating in terms of like growth and trees and things that had been moved into place. Now, and I don't think I've ever said that about Disneyland, it's suffocating. You know, but now you go to a place like Disneyland and you're just surrounded by so much packed into a tight spot. And so it can, especially if it's very crowded, feel extra suffocating, you know. And so you go over to California Adventure, which was designed for 21st century crowds, and those walkways are huge and those pathways are wide and long. And so now you walk into an environment that's radically different, you know, in terms of feeling. And I definitely think that California Adventure, if all of its, you know, Hollywood backlot stages and stuff like that, if all their spaces were open, it would definitely feel like a place that you could go spend more, you know, than a half day, and especially if you made your reservations and, you know, ensured that you got into some dining and stuff like that. Tiki Andy in our YouTube chat referenced that if Avengers Campus was open in this park at the point of return, it would probably be worth a full day value. Katrina, what do you think?
I agree with you guys completely. Again, I think it depends on what you're looking for. If you want to do rides, you have the little ones, then yeah, Disneyland would probably be your best bet instead of DCA. But if you're, you know, in our age group, or you're just childless millennials, or if you're just, you know, retired people that just want to go out and just have a day to yourselves and just go for a walk or whatever and grab a drink, hey, DCA is perfect. I mean, you can grab a drink, go walk around, you know, get some food somewhere. There's dining. So just depends on what you're looking for, honestly. I mean, I wouldn't object for them to open one park, or you were only allowed to do one park as soon as they open for like the first like few months or so. I wouldn't object to that. But I mean, it would force people to stay more, like a couple more days. So if you were brand new to Disneyland, you would have to go Disneyland one day, DCA the next day, to kind of get your ideas, or to kind of get what you want. But for us, like, I don't mind DCA for a day. That's what we always do.
And like, to go back to what you were saying, like, make no mistake, they have positioned California Adventure to be a more adult-oriented park. They know that they're doing that. I remember even when I went to a media event a couple years ago at this point, and they were talking about moving, you know, Oogie Boogie Bash over to California Adventure. They were saying, and well, actually, this was even before that. They were talking about the decorations on Buena Vista Street and things like that for Halloween, right? And they said that they specifically wanted to have Disneyland have that more childlike feel, and then California Adventure to feel more adult, a little bit more scary, like have that that kind of childless millennial thing going on. They didn't put it that way, but that's what it is, right? And so I think that's exactly right. That again, it's what are you doing? You're going to be with your family, or are you going to be with? Is it going to be 2 adults? Because I think if it's going to be 2 adults or even a group of adults, I think California Adventure is a great place to go for a whole day.
Producer, you're somebody that enjoys yourself some Disneyland Resort theme park experiences. Do you think California Adventure is worth a full day value?
So normally when my brother-in-law comes out, we get like multiple days. So we'll spend one day at Disneyland and one day at California Adventure if we have to. He doesn't get the park hopper sometimes, so I've done the California Adventure Day all in one day. It's fun. There's definitely stuff to do that can go the whole day. My only thing is while we're there, I'm thinking about that castle.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about going to Disneyland. I'm thinking, well, what could we be doing over there? And I agree that California Adventure has so much more food. I always end up eating over at California Adventure.
Yeah.
I hardly ever eat at Disneyland anymore. It's like, okay, we plan it. Oh, we have a fast pass over here at California Adventure. Let's go get some food while we're there. So yes, I can see definitely there's enough to do at California Adventure. There's enough there to spend the whole day. But deep down, I still want
where you want to be.
I want that Disneyland. I want to be able to go over there. So that's my take on it.
Well, that's a good take, I must say. California Adventure definitely seems like a park that's far more casual in terms of atmosphere, in terms of being able to sit, relax. It's a much more easier to navigate park because areas again are so open and you can see across from one region to another. Whereas Disneyland, you turn a corner, a lot of times you can't see much further than that. You can't see much further than 10 feet in front of your face because it's built that way, and there's so many like, oh, you need to focus here. You need to look at this and this attraction and this facade and, that tree and that sort of thing. Whereas California Adventure, you're walking along a path, you can usually see 1 or 2 lands away, depending on where you're at. So I would say, from, it sounds like our perspective, it can be definitely a value, especially if you're looking for that one day, one park experience. We hope that this certainly helped you in determining whether or not you would plan when the Disneyland Resort theme park experience comes back online, assuming park hoppers are not the thing they're going to be doing. King Report Live finishes up next.
Do you know everything the ghost host is going to say before he says it? Are you ready to thank the Venetians each time you board Spaceship Earth? Can you recite Walt's opening day dedication speech? Then join the Kingdom team today, the influential legacy fan community featuring exclusive merchandise that will alert all who've come to this happy place that you are more than just another guest. You are a trusted theme park fan. Don't miss out. Join the Kingdom team right now by visiting the homepage at kingdomreportlive.com. That's kingdomreportlive.com. And now, back to the magic.
Taking that one last look outside of the Disneyland Resort, Guardians of the Galaxy mission breakout in the distance. If you don't watch this show and you only listen, you are missing out on some breathtaking views, my friends. It has been so much fun being a part of your weekend. Hopefully, you have enjoyed being a part of ours. Tell me, Tyler, Katrina, as we finish things up here, doing anything spectacular this week?
Well, I do want to say one thing, though. Happy belated birthday to you.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. So anyway, happy belated birthday.
What can I
Woo!
say? It's good getting old.
And then next week's my birthday.
Hey!
And my mom's coming.
Oh, my gosh.
Yay.
What in the world?
So
be
that's
exciting.
what's going to be happening. I'm going to be working like a crazy person to make up hours so I can take off Friday, and then him and I can get to go to LAX to go get her.
How
So exciting.
great. Yes.
Hey, it's going to be exciting because I'm curious to see what LAX looks like when there's like no international flights happening.
That's true.
It's
That's
gonna
true.
be
It will
crazy.
be probably better. You're right about that. Yeah, and so I'm excited for that. And then also, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to be going to Taste of Calico tomorrow. So if you want to follow me at Attract Faction on on Twitter. I forgot almost for a second which platform it was. The bird one. Yeah, we'll be posting pictures from the Taste of Calico tomorrow. We'll get some boysenberry wings and some chili with a boysenberry corn muffin, and I'll get some boysenberry beer, and I'll get boysenberry overdose.
We'll see what my gluten-free options are. They say they have some pretty good ones, so I'm pretty stoked for it.
So yes, it's gonna be a good time, and you can see what's going on at another Southern Californian classic attraction. So
I think it'll be very interesting to see what it's like and what's going on there, and if they are abiding by all the rules.
I really hope so. If I feel unsafe, I feel like I want to
Scream.
get out of there.
Run.
Scream, yeah.
Be the snowflake we see on your sweater.
Fly away.
There you are.
Flurry away.
then
Float
melt in
close.
the sun.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm like
You'll always
Olaf.
be the ice queen to me.
It's because my cold heart.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being a part of the broadcast today. Thank you for tuning in as always. If you know anybody that would appreciate some good Disney Parks news and discussion content, make sure that you share the broadcast, please. We are growing every single week. We are seeing huge surges from new viewers around the world. We just can't thank you enough for being a part of this show, and we're definitely ensuring that each and every one of our segments is impacted by you in such a positive way. Thank you for that. Thank you so much for believing in what you see here as part of the Kingdom Report. And remember, we will be back with you again next Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific, for an all-new Kingdom Report Live. Garrett Hassel will return, and who knows where he will be at that point. My goodness. I mean, at this point, he was snapped out of existence by producer Kurt. Who knows if he will ever return.
He probably broke up with Ariel, right?
In human form. Wow. Way to put that out there.
That's just a joke.
Returned to the sea.
That's a joke because everybody, when Katrina was gone, everybody was like, "Wow, did they break up? What happened?" Like, so that was all I meant by that.
Inside
They
joke
love
that
each
no
other.
one got. Yeah.
I know the inside joke that was too inside my own brain, but nope, they're fine. Don't worry about it,
Well,
everybody.
now the rumor's out there.
They're fine.
Hard to determine what's real and what's not anymore.
It's okay. Garrett's not going to watch this.
He's given up already. Yes. Remember, the legacy of Walt Disney, it lives on because of people like you and me. We'll see you next Saturday.